Hello, everyone, and welcome to our video preview for this Sunday show at the Portsmouth Guildhall. As always, I'm joined by Andy. Andy, last time I saw you, we were both leaping out of our desk at York Hall.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It feels like almost like a lifetime ago, but I think it was only just under 3 weeks ago, right? I think
Yeah, sounds about right, yeah.
2 and a bit weeks ago. It'll be 3 weeks on Sunday when we're back in action at the Portsmouth Guildhall. It's just crazy to think, we spoke about a month or so ago when we said we're just on this crazy road to the 11-year anniversary show, and we've passed one of the big stops in terms of York Hall, Bethnal Green. Now there's only 3 shows to go, and then it's going to be time to enter the Copper Box Arena for what promises to be an absolutely huge night of pro wrestling action. But let's not discount the action that we've got coming up.
It really is such an exciting time to be a Revolution Pro Wrestling fan. York Hall was such an amazing show, and we are not slowing down by any means. Between then and our 11-year anniversary show, we have so much to look forward to, kicking off with this Sunday, where we will have the new undisputed British Cruiserweight Champion in action. It's his first outing with the belt, and he's going one-on-one against Samuel Hawks. Now, it's a big opportunity for Samuel Hawks.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Samuel Hawks is actually, look, to be honest, he's someone who wasn't originally going to be a part of the contenders division, but he's gone into the contenders division, and he himself made that decision to take a step back. He's one of those people who we talk about, an adrenaline dump when you step into a Revolution Pro Wrestling ring for the first time. There's a lot of pressure on you. Samuel Hawks is one of those guys that I always say, like in the training school at the Portsmouth School of Wrestling, he's a killer. He's perhaps one of the best students we've ever produced through the Portsmouth School of Wrestling. But I think when it came down to it, he debuted alongside Cameron Kai, and I think he'll be the first one to tell you that it was Cameron Kai that took all the headlines, and he was kind of affected by the pressure a lot more than the younger and less experienced Cameron Kai. And I think stepping back into the contenders division, what he's done is he's taken a big air of pressure off the shoulders of Samuel Hawks. Now, that's all well and good, Gio, but on Sunday he's going one-on-one with the new undisputed British Cruiserweight Champion, True Grit Connor Mills, and that pressure, which we say came off his shoulders when he donned the black trunks and became a contender, that's firmly back on the shoulders, because it doesn't get much bigger than that, because this is the first match since Connor Mills won that undisputed British Cruiserweight Championship belt. The gold may not be on the line, but I'm telling you, the stakes in this one are still very high. Victory over Connor Mills, and Samuel Hawks gets himself right back into the conversation, doesn't he? Listen, I think that if Samuel Hawks is able to come and perform to his full potential, then he could cause a shock to the wrestling world this Sunday at the Portsmouth Guildhall. But Connor Mills, something which is, I guess, been very characteristic about him as of late, is his no frills, take no prisoners attitude. As you like to say, Joe, he's been working on becoming the worst version of himself. I think he's well and truly there. He's vicious, he's nasty, and he's probably the last person you want to find yourself across the ring from right now, especially in the form that he's in. It's promised to be hard-hitting, it promises to be fast, it promises to be high-flying. It's an intriguing contest, and I think it's a real opportunity for both men to show us their intent moving ahead to the rest of 2023.
It's guaranteed to be a hard-hitting contest, but as you've said, Andy, we have seen upsets in Revolution Pro Wrestling many a time, such as with a competitor in our next match. A load of people remember when Will Caven shocked the world, defeating Michael Oku in his debut. Samuel Hawks has the opportunity to do that against Connor Mills, but Will Caven is going one-on-one with a mainstay of the contenders division, Joshua James.
Yeah, Joshua James is getting closer, isn't he? He seems to really be progressing a lot. I think that many people tip that he's not going to be much longer in the contenders division because he's ready to move on to bigger and perhaps better things in the RevPro roster. He's going to be looking towards guys like Brendan White, trying to emulate his success. But, you know, he's going up against a very dangerous opponent in terms of Will Caven. He's a disruptor. And Will Caven, he came through maybe even a little bit after Joshua James through the Portsmouth School of Wrestling. Or maybe not. I don't know. I don't want to kind of be telling lies here in this preview, but the But the fact is that Will Caven, he opted to not be a contender. He wanted to bide his time. He wanted to wait his moment. He wanted to come and disrupt the professional wrestling scene. And he did that towards the tail end of last year. He rode a huge wave of momentum. And since that point, 2023 has perhaps not been the year that Will Caven would have liked. It's been hit and miss for Caven, hasn't it, this year? And he's going to be looking to get things rocking and rolling again with a win over Joshua James. But in Joshua James, he's facing a much bigger, stronger opponent. He's facing someone who's getting better and more experienced as each day goes on, and someone who's learning about his true self. I think it's going to be a long night for Will Caven when you look at, if you look at physical attributes on their own. But what Will Caven's going to have to do, he's going to have to be resourceful. And if there's one thing that's Will Caven's been in Revolution Pro Wrestling, that's very, very resourceful, to say the least. We've seen Caven go toe-to-toe, hold-to-hold with the likes of Dan Maloney and Luke Jacobs. So he's not going to be daunted by what stood in front of him with Joshua James. But it's going to be an interesting contest. I feel that both men are really desperate to get a win. Joshua James is going to look to try and build on some of the momentum that saw him get into the Revolution Rumble. And Will Caven's going to look to pick up the form that saw him become the #1 contender to that Cruiserweight Championship at the end of last year.
Absolutely. Both men definitely need a win there. And someone who also needs one as they build momentum towards our huge 11-year anniversary show at the Copper Box is JJ Gale. Now, we saw him confront Zack Sabre Jr. at York Hall. And if he wants his match with Zack Sabre Jr., he's going to have to defeat Kosei Fujita at our 11-year anniversary show. So he's going to need to build that momentum. But there is a roadblock in his way, and it comes in the form of Wild Boar, someone who brings a lunatic edge to the cruiserweight division, and it's going to be a big problem for JJ Gale on Sunday.
Yeah, unorthodox is Wild Boar Mike Hitchman, isn't he? He's unhinged. He is innovative in his offense. He's got that power-based offense. He's got that low power base. He can throw. He's got real strength of a heavyweight. He can throw and ragdoll his opponents around. They call him the cruiserweight monster because really in the cruiserweight division, that's exactly what he is. But he's got that wide base, hasn't he? But he doesn't lack the speed either. So he's a real difficult proposition, and perhaps one of the most awkward opponents you could ask to face. When you're trying to get into some kind of form ahead of arguably the biggest match of your professional wrestling career, because I believe that's what it is for JJ Gale on August 26th. We've seen JJ Gale slip up when he's had Zack Sabre Jr. on his mind. We've seen an armbar attempt reversed into a pin. We've seen him miss a PK, which led to his downfall. He needs to make sure Zack Sabre Jr. is not on his mind and he's only focused on Wild Boar, because if there's anyone who's going to pick at scraps, it's Wild Boar. It's going to be an interesting contest, an interesting styles clash between the pair, and I think this is a first-time match, and I think this is one of those matches that could well steal the show. I think this is a type of match that gets me excited about the depth of talent that we have to offer in Revolution Pro Wrestling. I think Wild Boar Mike Hitchman's an absolute great addition to the RevPro roster, and JJ Gale's going to look to continue to do what he's been doing for a very long time now. When you look at JJ Gale from the contenders division up, through graduating through that contenders division, JJ Gale, he's really got an impressive body of work, and he's going to look to add to it this Sunday at the Portsmouth Guildhall.
I am so excited for that match too, Andy. It's like we always say, styles make matches. Moving on, we have the apprentice of the United Empire, Cam Newman, going up against Cameron Kai. Now, Cameron Kai, someone who made his debut in this very building at the Portsmouth Guildhall. He's been so impressive since then, but Cam Newman, he's always been impressive. And now he's got this new edge to him. Now he's under the tutelage. Well, he's always been under the tutelage of Will Ospreay, but this scholarship, as it were, with the United Empire has really brought something out in him. So I'm really excited to see these two get in the ring on Sunday.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think you could say that Cameron Kai is perhaps where Callum Newman was a few years ago. Maybe he's worked some higher profile opponents. Maybe, but I think in terms of potential, in terms of upside, I think that Cameron Kai is kind of, he can look at Callum Newman's journey as an example of what he would like to do in the sport of professional wrestling. I think if I was going to bet on anything, I think Cameron Kai's got the potential. There's a big difference between potential and fulfilling that potential. He's got the potential to do it in a quicker manner than Callum Newman did. But then again, I'm not banking on another global pandemic, which no doubt stunted everyone's growth. And of course, Cameron Kai had the advantage of starting up after that pandemic. That's how new he is to this sport of professional wrestling, by the way. So I think it's intriguing in that, from that standpoint, that viewpoint. I think it's also very intriguing to see the way Callum Newman is going to behave, because as we know, he has, like you say, been given that scholarship in the United Empire from the aerial assassin Will Ospreay, his mentor. We've seen him start to develop a bit more of an edge. We saw his role to play in the attack on Leon Slater. We know that he's going to be getting advice and feedback from Will Ospreay. And we know that he's going to be wanting to show Will Ospreay that he's learning the lessons he's been taught. I think now more so than ever. I think, look, if we look at Callum Newman in Revolution Pro Wrestling, it was Will Ospreay that put Callum Newman and JJ Gale together. And then after that point, he distanced himself from Newman and created the United Empire. And I think, well, he made it very clear the reason he put them together was because he'd wrestled both of them independently at our empty arena shows, which you can watch on RevProOnDemand.com. There's a painful memory of that weird reality we were living. But they wrestled each other, and Will felt that their styles complemented each other perfectly, and perhaps one of their strengths was the other's weakness, and they could learn from one another and develop. And they reached that point where they JJ Gale and Callum Newman both felt they had got to the point where it was time to part ways and stand on their own 2 feet. And that was when Will Ospreay swooped back in and took Callum Newman back. So you've got to ask the question, was this all a part of Will Ospreay's plan for Callum Newman? Has Callum Newman been, look, we're kind of looking at the football season about to start up again, and is this akin to Will Ospreay having sent Callum Newman out on loan? And now's his time to cash in on the reward, the match experience that Callum Newman has now gained. But one thing's for sure, and that's that Callum Newman is listening to those lessons that Ospreay's teaching. So can he employ those tactics successfully this Sunday against what to Callum Newman may well be an unknown quantity in form of Cameron Kai? It's an exciting match, another first-time match. What I love to do, you know, and don't forget, many years from now, when these two are wrestling on a bigger stage, when they ask, where did you see this match first? Or when people are salivating over the prospect of these two competing against each other, say, hey, you can watch it, RevProOnDemand.com. Sling £6 or something my way.
You can certainly say that about a lot of the matches we put on here at Revolution Pro Wrestling.
You really can. I think that aspect is often overlooked, and that's why shows like this Sunday at the Portsmouth Guildhall are shows that you have to, if you can be there, you have to be there to see, and if you can't be there, you have to watch it on RevProOnDemand.com, because we are consistently delivering show after show after show of such a high caliber. It's the depth has never been deeper in RevPro, and it's never been a more exciting time. And as we all know, when there's so much to play for, we don't know the direction of our undisputed British Cruiserweight Championship as we go into the Copper Box. We know that it's going to be defended at the Copper Box, but who's going to be the challenger? So everyone's going to be pressing, everyone's going to be pushing, everyone's going to be jockeying for position, everyone's going to want a claim to that championship gold. And we know when we get to those roads to certain shows, the closer and closer they get, the higher intensity the shows get, and the more chaotic they tend to get, the more explosive they tend to get, and the more exciting for us they tend to get. So this Sunday's going to be special, and so is this contest.
Well, speaking of new champions, the new undisputed British Women's Champion, Alex Windsor, we finally have a definitive undisputed British Women's Champion, but I mean, I'm still recovering from the shock of what actually went down at York Hall, because now she's going to be going up against a former protege and now a former friend in Maya Matthews. I'm still shocked at this complete just betrayal of Maya Matthews and really of the whole RevPro audience, the way Alex Windsor conducted herself to win that championship.
Yeah, I mean, I said as she was walking back, you let yourself down. because I think Alex Windsor, it's hard for me to describe what she's been through and the journey it took her to get back into a professional wrestling ring. And this isn't the first time she's had to do a journey like this. The resilience of Alex Windsor is something that should absolutely be admired. And I think she's someone, I would have said before that contest, she's someone that we can all admire and look up to. And that's certainly what Maya Matthews was doing. She was looking up to Alex Windsor. She had a debut professional wrestling match with Alex Windsor. Alex Windsor took her under her wing. She mentored her. And she seemed to have the right intentions. But the Alex Windsor we saw at York Hall Bethnal Green was a completely different Alex Windsor. The time away seems to have changed her. I don't know if she's grown bitter, resentful, the amount of time she spent on the sidelines having to watch Maya Matthews develop as a professional wrestler when she can't get in there herself, having to watch these women stake claims to what she perceived to be her championship. But like you say, Gio, she absolutely showed another side of her, dare I say, her true colors. We all saw she was eliminated from that contest. The referees, obviously, being the difference there. She brought herself back into the ring, took the chair to Hyan, won that championship, unified the championship. And then Maya Matthews, who never saw, and I think that's probably the hardest thing for me, is Maya Matthews. And again, look, it may sound like I'm taking this too personally, but Maya Matthews is someone who's come through the Portsmouth School of Wrestling. She's come right up from a junior class. You know, I've literally known her since she was a child. And she's still a child in this business. And she was so supportive of Alex Windsor and her journey. And she never saw what Alex Windsor did to win that championship. And she came back to the ringside to celebrate with Alex Windsor. And Alex Windsor repaid her with an unprovoked attack, headbutting her and leaving her lying on the floor. And I think that, yes, it hurt physically, but we know Maya Matthews is tough. We've seen her go against some of the toughest women in the whole of professional wrestling today. And we've seen her take a beating and come back fighting. But I don't really think it was so much the physical damage of that the post-match at York Hall. I think it may well be the emotional damage as well, having someone you look up to do something like that to you. And she's going to be looking for revenge, no doubt. I'm not sure what her mindset's going to be, what her state of mind's going to be. Is she going to come all guns blazing? Is she going to fight with emotion? And is that going to be her undoing? Or is she going to, put her game face on, strategized, have a game plan? But of course, it's going to be very difficult because we know pretty much exclusively the only person that Maya Matthews was strategizing, preparing for her professional wrestling matches with was Alex Windsor. And now she's not got that support system. So it's going to be interesting to see what way Maya Matthews takes this contest. It's going to be interesting to see the way Alex Windsor takes this contest. I think it's really a great opportunity to see the mindset that Alex Windsor's currently in. Now she is, I guess, undisputedly stood at the top of the mountain as the unified and undisputed British women's champion. And I think that given the fact that this was essentially essentially a rematch from Maya Matthews' first ever match in Revolution Pro Wrestling, although this is going to be fought under entirely different circumstances, I think it's going to be very interesting to see as a measuring stick just how far Maya Matthews has come in that, I think we're just under a year and a half since she made that debut. So it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to the match. I hope it's fought in a sporting-like manner. And yeah, I don't know what to say, but I guess expect the unexpected. It's a big opportunity for Maya Matthews, no doubt. But Alex Windsor's no doubt not going to let or want to let someone make a name off of her back. So, like I say, it's going to be an interesting power struggle.
I mean, any day of the week, that's a great professional wrestling match, Alex Windsor versus Maya Matthews. But as you said, you add in this emotional edge and it completely changes the dynamic. 2 matches left to go through. We have a 6-person tag team match, a blockbuster as well. We have the trio of Subculture competing for the first time as a trio in Revolution Pro Wrestling. That's Danny Luna and the new undisputed British tag team champions, Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, going up against the former tag champions, the Greedy Souls, Brendan White, Danny Jones, and former Southside Women's Champion. That championship obviously now unified into the British Women's Championship. That's Greedy Souls and the Sky Smithson.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever going to see a more angry trio than the Sky Smithson and the Greedy Souls. They're not in the mood for it right now, are they?
If I was a contender, I'd run far, far away from ringside for that one.
Yeah, and then we can say more about that on another day. Brendan White, I don't know why he wants to target the contenders the way he does. He, of course, was one. He's someone that we should be looking up to as an example. Similar to JJ Gale in terms of the way he was able to graduate the contenders division, navigate the system, win championship gold. He should be proud of the fact that he's fought his way up from there to being a legitimate headliner in Revolution Pro Wrestling. But instead, he looks back with disdain. And I guess that's another story for another day. But this was whilst he was riding high as the undisputed British Tag Team Champion. I hate to think what he feels like now for the first time in a long time. He's walking in without championship gold around his waist. Same for Sky Smithson, same for Danny Jones. An angry trio of wrestlers. Look, if anyone's momentum couldn't be too opposite, it's these two sides, because Subculture, Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, 6 days after winning those undisputed British Tag Team Championships, they went to Canada. They went to Impact Wrestling. They became Impact Wrestling World Tag Team Champions as well. So momentum is absolutely on the side of Subculture. Danny Luna absolutely has personal issues with Sky Smithson. This goes back a long way. Think back to York Hall, Bethnal Green, Sky Smithson, and when Sky Smithson and Danny Luna went one-on-one with each other. I believe it was a Revolution Rumble, wasn't it? Was that the one? The Revolution Rumble, I believe it was. But when they went one-on-one with each other, Sky Smithson viciously, I guess the clue's in the title, Vicious Sky Smithson, viciously removed that knee brace of Danny Luna and went to town on the surgically repaired leg of Danny Luna. And when it seemed like Sky Smithson had come to help Danny Luna, we saw Luna take, no hesitation whatsoever, took Smithson out, gave Smithson a taste of her own medicine. We saw them, brawl to the back at the conclusion of as we reaching a conclusion of that epic 4-way at the Epic Encounter. And there's just nothing but bad blood between the pair. And I guess this is going to be another chapter in that rivalry. So I, for one, I'm very much looking forward to this. It's a combustible situation with all 6 elements of this contest. We know that Greedy Souls and Smithson are going to look to get back to winning ways. They want it in the worst way possible. We know that Subculture are going to look to continue that momentum. We know that Luna and Smithson are going to look to settle some scores. Like I say, combustible situation, added to the fact that this is the first time we've seen Subculture as a trio in Revolution Pro Wrestling. Also an intriguing situation. But I'm excited. I love the unpredictable nature of this one. I love the fact that there's lots of scores to be settled, and we're going to try and do 2 for the price of 1, so to speak, in this what promises to be an all-action 6-person tag.
Absolutely. It's really a showcase as well of just how on fire the tag team division's been over the last 12 months, and the women's division as well. And as you said, so many combustible elements in that ring. This whole card, I'm so excited to see it. But we come to our final match to run through, and that is Shah Samuels going one-on-one with the new undisputed British heavyweight champion Michael Oku, the first ever Grand Slam champion in Revolution Pro Wrestling history, but he is a champion without his championship title belt, isn't he?
Yeah, and I mean, that's going to eat at Michael Oku. He promised he was going to be at the Portsmouth Guildhall. Like, there's one thing that Michael wanted more than anything when talking to him in the build-up to that undisputed British heavyweight championship match with the Great O'Khan, was if he was able to do the improbable. I can't call it impossible anymore. The improbable. If he was able to do that, he wanted to represent Revolution Pro Wrestling the same way he did as Cruiserweight champion, by, in essence, making towns, turning up with that belt over his shoulder, meeting the people, and representing the company as a champion. And he still fully intends to represent the company as a champion, but it's kind of bittersweet because he'd love to do that with a championship belt over his shoulder. He can't do that thanks to the actions of Trent Seven, a man he'll meet on August 26th at the Copper Box Arena, our 11-year anniversary show. So on Sunday, he's going one-on-one with a man who, look, I would argue, has somewhat of a say in this equation in Sha Samuels. He was defeated by Trent Seven, but he was defeated by Trent Seven and a handful of ropes. And I think that, you know, we said it was irrefutable that it happened. The referee didn't see it. Unfortunately, we don't have VAR in Revolution Pro Wrestling. It's a discussion that we're not getting into right now. A, we can't afford it, and B, we won't be able to get it right. And C, can you imagine a can of worms that would open up in the future? Right. So we're not talking about that right now, but I think it's clear for all to see that Sha Samuels was robbed out of that match. And we made it very clear that the winner of that match would be very much in line for a shot at that undisputed British Heavyweight Championship. And while Sha Samuels never won the match, he's not getting a shot at that championship. He's getting a shot at the champion, which is, I guess, the next best thing for Samuels, a former undisputed British Heavyweight Champion himself, the inaugural champion when we became Revolution Pro Wrestling back in 2012. If he can get a victory over Michael Oku, he gets himself back in the equation. He's had a tough time. Make no mistake, Sha Samuels had a tough time since coming back to the RevPro roster, but he's been competing against top-level competition, world-class competition. He wouldn't want it any other way. He really saw him, well, he felt he was getting better. He felt he was getting closer. We've seen him continue to evolve his body, getting in better shape, trimming up some more. And you know, he feels like his head's in the right place, and he feels like he's ready to be a champion in Revolution Pro Wrestling again. But he's had some roadblocks in his way, self-imposed roadblocks, because he's not wanted any warm-up matches. He's only wanted to compete against the very best, and that's absolutely fair enough. And that's the way all champions should conduct themselves. Against Michael Oku, exact same strategy, go up against one of the very best. And yeah, and that's what he's going to do this Sunday. You know, I'm interested to see how it goes. I'm interested to see and hear from Michael Oku. I'm interested to see if Michael Oku's heart's in this contest, because obviously he has Trent Seven in his tunnel vision now, heading towards August 26th. And is he going to overlook Sha Samuels? And if he does, is he going to create another dangerous challenger? And if he does, what if Trent Seven wins that contest at the Copper Box? And Sha Samuels, Trent Seven could be on for a big rematch for that championship belt. You know, there's many if, buts, maybes. But no doubt Sha Samuels wants to pick up the win here, and then he wants to take on the winner of Oku and Trent Seven after August 26th. This is a big night for Sha Samuels. It's also a big night for Michael Oku. It's a night he dreamed of, but the dream is perhaps not quite like he imagined.
Well, that's our card for this Sunday. 7 fantastic matches. Now, a lot of attention is being paid to our 11-year anniversary show, and rightly so. It's going to be huge. It's going to be our biggest show to date. It's going to be a celebration of pro wrestling at its best. But like you said, Andy, every Revolution Pro Wrestling show is don't miss. There are matches on this card people could be talking about for years to come, and you can say you saw it first this Sunday live at the Portsmouth Guildhall. And if you can't be there in person, where's the next best place to watch it, Andy?
Next best place to watch it, Gio, is RevProOnDemand.com. So look, subscribe. You've got so much great stuff. Look, I think so in your first month subscription now, so we're a month away from the Copper Box. If you subscribe now, then in your first month subscription, you'll get to watch this show in Portsmouth Guildhall, which will be part of your 7-day free trial. You'll get to watch 229 next Sunday. You'll get to watch live in Southampton the Sunday after. and you'll get to watch August 26th for the Copper Box, all included in that first month subscription. Not to mention, Gio, the tremendous back catalogue of professional wrestling matches spanning across our 11-year history. It really is great value for money. So check out RevProOnDemand.com. But more than anything, I want to thank everyone for their support and just say, listen, if you can be at any of these shows coming up, then please do, because the only way we can do this is with you. Revolution Pro Wrestling without you is nothing. So please keep supporting. We're going to be there live in Portsmouth this Sunday. We're putting our best foot forward. We cannot wait, and we hope that you can join us.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Andy, for your time, and we'll see you all again soon.